Hello, everyone. My name is Mike, and I recently found myself in a disgusting situation because I was forced to swim in the middle of the sea all alone without anything. It's just me and my bathing suit. Moreover, I didn't know which way the right coast was or where my country was. I didn't even know what could be worse. And now I'll tell you my story. My parents are very simple and not rich people. And besides that, they are ardent patriots of their country. So we have never been abroad in our lives. All our rest was always reduced to wearing out the seat of our trousers in the country or on trips to our grandmother. And this is a very dubious pleasure. Mike, there's so many beautiful places in our region. Why do we need to go abroad? They would say as soon as I started talking about going somewhere in the Maldives or Dubai. And over time, I completely stopped hoping that one day we would have a normal family vacation. But out of habit, I still continued to invite my parents to various resorts. And one day, quite unexpectedly for me, my mother said, "Where to? To Italy, let's go." And the very next day, we sat on our suitcases and waited for a taxi to take us to the airport. This event was a real holiday, and I was looking forward to 10 days of paradise, relaxation, and discovery. Italy impressed me with its beaches, cuisine, and local population. I literally melted into the environment and blissed out every second. My parents were also delighted, and it was hard to believe that these people a few days ago shouted that they would never go anywhere from their native lands. Oh, these patriots! Having poured into the rest a little, it became clear that our mom was a fan of sunbathing, but my father and I were waterfowl and could splash in the water for hours. So on the beach, our paths diverged a little, and my dad and I were very fond of extreme sports. So all the water, bananas, scooters, and water skis were ours. What's a vacation without an adrenaline rush? On that ill-fated day, my dad and I rented a jet ski again, and we had a whole hour riding on the waves ahead of us. I was happy and enthusiastic. After about 20 minutes, we were already very far from the shore, and suddenly I felt some kind of push and then flew off the scooter directly into the sea. At that moment, I did not understand at all where I was falling and why. Because in stressful situations, the connection with reality is lost altogether for an indefinite time. Fortunately, I didn't lose consciousness and didn't choke on the water, so I surfaced safely, hoping to get on the scooter and find out from my dad what it was. But there was no hints of civilization nearby, only the open sea, no coast, no ships, no scooter, an absolute wilderness. Then I began to frantically construct logical chains in my head regarding my father's disappearance. It even seemed to me that he could have gone under with the jet ski, so I dived several times to examine the bottom, but nothing was interesting there. Either water, or rather a lot of water, and nothing else. Then I was scared in earnest because I did not understand where to swim and in general in which direction to head. I was also very worried about my dad. Where did he go? Let's say he didn't see me fall, but why didn't he come back for me? Dad couldn't have deliberately dumped me in the middle of the sea. No, of course, this is complete nonsense. And there's clearly something else here. But what exactly? I tried to stay there as long as possible. But this is the sea, and it moves its guest as it wants. So I don't even know how close I was to the point where my dad dropped me. Suddenly, I noticed something on the horizon. It seemed to me that there were some kind of yachts or boats. So I started waving and screaming at them all over the place, trying to swim towards them. At the same time, they seemed to notice me too and began to approach. But after a few minutes, my joy turned to horror because I saw a shark fin in the ships and yachts. There was a whole pack of sharks, not one or two, but at least 9 or 10. Oh God, why am I so blind? I was deliberately attracting their attention. Is this the end? Soon the sharks swam very close to me and surrounded me. I was dumbfounded with fear, and I don't think I was even breathing, only occasionally twitching my arm to keep from sinking. I tried to remember what to do when meeting with aquatic predators, but nothing practical came to my mind, so I just waited for me to be eaten. It's even strange. Why didn't I try to swim away or scream or at least fight sharks before dying? Maybe because I understood that there was simply no help to wait for. Okay, I won't torment you anymore. I am alive, and I'm telling you the story now, which means that my meeting with sharks ended favorably. Anyway, they circled around me for a few minutes and then disappeared. Whether I was too skinny for them or whether they were full, I don't know. They just swam away, or maybe my fear scared them too much. However, the disappearance of the sharks almost did not affect my situation because it did not get better. I was still floating somewhere in the middle of the sea trying to figure out why I was there and what I should do next. And then, after a couple hours, my dad still hadn't come back for me. I started to emit very bad thoughts in my head. First of all, I remembered our conflict with him a couple of days ago. He blamed me for my poor studies and called me a stupid and lazy girl. Then I thought he said these words to me in a fit of anger, that they had nothing to do with his real attitude towards me. But now I'm thinking, what if my father thought I was a disgrace and decided to get rid of me by throwing me into the sea? I'm sure he knew I wouldn't have had much of a chance of surviving. Oh my God, was it really true? And Dad decided that if I wasn't as smart as he wanted me to be, I'd rather die at sea. After that, I began to remember many other episodes from the life of our family, and more, I believed that my father deliberately did not come back for me. But I had to do something, and I started to swim in one direction. The sea is not infinite. If I swim out in a foreign country, I will seek help there. Still, it's better than staying in the water. Honestly, at the same time, I was ready for anything. A few minutes after I started to swim, a helicopter appeared in the sky and hovered right over me. It became clear that I was noticed, and from this, I was even happier than ever. Right from the helicopter, they threw a ladder to me, and I was saved. However, flying in a helicopter, I was seized with panic. How will my parents react to my return? My father will probably be very upset to see me alive and unharmed. And what about Mom? What if she and Dad struck a deal? It turned out that to return to a place where you're not expected is worse than death. However, as soon as we landed, my mother immediately rushed to hug me. Such emotions are simply impossible to fake, which meant my mom was probably on my side. It was then that I decided to ask my mother about everything and asked her to tell me the whole truth. My mother immediately became very sad and decided to have a frank conversation with me, but what she told me was not what I expected to hear. She said that during our ride on the scooter, Dad had a heart attack, and because of his hand shook, there was a sharp jerk from which I fell into the sea. Fortunately, at the time when I found my father's life was no longer in danger and he was under medical supervision, this news shocked me and I did not know whether to be happy or cry because my fears were not confirmed. After 3 days, my dad was discharged and we went home.